Welcome, everyone, to another edition of In the Kitchen with Gracie and Amy. Today, my mom is going to cook some of her father's recipes. So, without further ado, I'll let her take it away.
Hi, everyone. Today, I'm going to try to make one of the dishes that my father made in our Christmas Eve holiday. I've made another, and that one I will explain to you after we sit down and talk about the dishes, the fish dishes that he made on Christmas Eve. So, one I'm going to cook today, and the other one I've already cooked so that you can see the finished product later on. So, this one that I'm making is one of my very, very favorites that he made. I love it. And all it is shrimp in a tomato-based sauce. But the specialness of this is that it has another thing that has a lot of garlic. And that's what makes this dish a lot of garlic and a lot of olive oil. And that's what makes this dish really, really good. So this is how I have. So the ingredients in here are olive oil, garlic, crushed tomato sauce, shrimp, and parsley. That's
Nice.
it. Oh, salt and pepper.
Right.
All that's in here. So I have put the garlic in my pan. A secret to not have the garlic burn right away is put the garlic in the oil in the pan cold and then turn it on. Then you can regulate. You can then regulate your when you're stirring it, because the pan is not hot, you can watch it, and then you see, it's when it's getting close to maybe getting, because it's the temperatures for the both of them are going to come up together.
Right. That makes sense.
So that's the first thing that I do. And what you're going to do is you're only going to saute this a very little bit because you do not want the garlic to burn. Okay?
Yeah.
So stir it around in my pan. I'll tip it up. Can you see that a little bit?
Yes, you can see that. Mm-hmm.
Watch this carefully, Amy, because you're going to have to be doing this at some time. No,
Okay.
you're not. No? Okay. All right. So I'm going to let this it's got to get a little heated, okay? I found this, I started to do this because I noticed that, when you put it in cold, both items, it doesn't burn. So you let it start to get heated, and then you let it sizzle just a little bit, and then you're going to pour in your tomato sauce. It's really the simplest dish that you could ever make, is this shrimp and sauce, and you can use this for so many things. You can even make a pizza with this. That's how good it is.
Except you got to take the shrimp out or take the shells off the shrimp.
Oh, I have them peeled.
Okay. Because Grandpa never peeled the shrimp.
Right. No, I peel mine. Yes.
As you're eating, it was always, on pasta. So as you're eating the pasta, you're taking the shrimp out and unpeeling it and then eating it.
I'm going to put the sauce in.
Although when we were in Italy, we were in Sicily, we had pizza. We went to was it Sicily or was it maybe farther up north when we were in Bolzano? I don't remember. I don't remember where we had the pizza and you get a shrimp. I remember being in Italy when I was an exchange student, but I think my mom and Dad experienced this too. The pizza, it was I forgot what it was called, but it had a shrimp with the whole tail on it, and
right,
and,
right. So now I've added my sauce. Okay, I'm going to let this. It's got to come up to get heated. Okay, and start to boil it. I did add a cup of water to this so that because
Right.
it's going to boil out.
right.
Okay? So you need some water so that it's not. Oh my God, it's already done it. It's already boiling. Okay, so you're gonna let this boil. Okay, a little bit, and then you will throw in your parsley. I have frozen. I froze my parsley. I freeze it, so I can throw it in like that. I have to turn the heat down because it's really boiling. So I'm going to throw in my parsley, and I'm going to let that melt in there and stir around. Okay, get that all stirred because the last thing you're going to put in is the shrimp. I'm going to put a little pepper in here, and you can pepper your thing to taste. I'll put just a teeny bit of salt because you got the shrimp. So, if you want to add salt after, you need a little salt, go right ahead. Okay, so this is boiling. It probably takes about 5 minutes. Okay, I'll kind of see if I can show this to you. I'll tip it. Can you see?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That looks nice.
So
Looks good.
So about 5 minutes to get this boiling because you want the sauce. You want the sauce to cook. Okay, before you put the shrimp in. Let me taste it. I go the more. Oh my God.
I just have to laugh, Mom. You get the big spoon, not the tiny, not this, a teaspoon.
I don't have a teaspoon. This apartment doesn't allow me to have everything at my fingertips.
It was just funny, like the great big spoon for this tiny little taste.
My tiny little taste. So here is this is my peeled shrimp.
Nice.
Okay? I'm only doing enough for myself.
Yes.
For this, but usually you
right.
put like
you would put more. Right.
Okay. But I'm just doing it for myself. So this is going to boil, okay? After about 5 minutes, I'm going to throw in the shrimp. I'm going to do it now because, like I said, it's for me. So,
right.
But you will see the finished product later because we're going to have to take a break.
Yes.
Let it cook, okay? Yes. So you're going to throw in not throw it in. You're going to take it and put your shrimp into the sauce, okay?
Yes.
The sauce, okay? Okay, and they're going to turn pink on you, okay? This particular dish, your shrimp is going to take longer to cook. Now, when you make shrimp, like shrimp cocktail,
yes,
shrimp for like 2 minutes.
Right. Yes.
In this dish, you cook your shrimp. You cook this whole thing for about 20 minutes. Okay.
Right.
And your shrimp is going to be more tender when you eat this. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like it's not mushy, but it falls apart. You could actually take your fork or spoon and push into it, and it'll break apart.
You're right, exactly. So I'm going to stir this around, okay?
Yeah, you wouldn't want that with shrimp cocktail. you wouldn't want to pick up a piece of shrimp cocktail and it fall apart.
Right. So I'm going to tip it up and let you see.
Nice. Yes, that looks beautiful.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. So I'm going to stir it around. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to I'm going to put it on simmer,
Mhm.
and I'm going to let it go. And we can take a break.
Sounds
And
good.
we'll be back, and I will show you this finished product dish. And also I will show you my other dish, and we'll talk about the Christmas Eve fish dishes.
Okay.
So back in a few.
Sounds good. Okay, we are back from our short break. So the shrimp in the sauce is done, and my mom is going to show you that dish, and then she's going to show you the other dish. She's going to just talk us through how she made it, because it didn't really take a lot of steps. It's mostly putting stuff together and baking it. So
Right.
Go ahead, Mom.
Yes. Okay. All right. So the shrimp sauce came out beautiful. I'm going to, it's beautiful. I tasted it. It's wonderful. I'm going to put some in a plate so you can see it. Oh, I mean, it is unreal. And you can have it with a little slice of bread. I'll put it down a bit. Okay.
Nice.
I'm going to cut into it so you can see. Oh, it is really something else. You see? Okay, I'm going to taste it.
It's so funny, Mom. Every time you taste anything, I have to laugh, because these poor people who are watching us eat our food are like, great, so you get to eat it. I guess if you want to enjoy this meal, everyone, you're going to have to make it.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit before I tell you about this. When I was growing up, more so when I was growing up than when Amy was growing up, because Amy experienced all of the foods that I did, but we had a little bit more because my father cooked a little bit differently. When we had Christmas Eve, he did pretty much follow the traditions of the 7 fishes. And I just want to tell you the fishes that he had. He would make, number one thing he would make is octopus salad. He would take the octopus, he'd boil it, cut it up, vinegar, salt and pepper, garlic, whatever he had to put on it. That was cold. Then he would make stuffed squid with breadcrumbs, cheese, whatever. Stuff the squid, put it in the pan, put not tomato sauce like the tomato sauce I just did today. Crush, what do you call it? Peeled tomatoes. He crush them up, and put it in there. Cover it, put it in the oven, and bake that. Then he would have this shrimp sauce, this one, okay? And we had this, and we would put it over spaghetti, but homemade pasta. He had this, okay? Then he would make, then my mother would make a fried fish using haddock or sole or one of those kinds of fishes. And then also my father had loved. Oh, he also fried smelts. Smelts are little small fishes about that big, okay? And he would go and buy it at the fish store, and he'd fry it up. I think he floured them and fried it in a pan, and it was that, and put a little lemon over it. Those were really good. Those were delicious. And then he also was his favorite, because he probably grew up on this in Italy, sardines. My dad loves sardines. And I can see him right now. A big can. It's about this big. Okay. It had a thing where you put a key in it and you roll the top. And the sardines were full of salt. The thing was full of salt. I could see my dad taking the sardine out, scraping that salt off, washing it nice, getting a mixture of vinegar, I think an olive oil, salt and pepper, probably garlic, and marinating that sardine in that mixture, put in the fridge, take it out when it was time to eat at night at Christmas Eve. He loved it. I didn't eat the sardines too much, but he loved sardines. And the last dish that I remember is this thing called bacala. Now, the bacala is a dried salted codfish. And what you do with it is you take buy it dried, salted, dry, and you have to soak it for 2 or 3 days because the salt is so heavy. I remember we lived over a store called Tedeschi's Market in Endicott, New York. I lived there until I was 7 years old. Downstairs, there was outside barrels. Barrels had snails in it, and barrels had salted bacala. So my dad would go down, he would buy the bacala, 2 or 3 pieces, bring it up, soak it, throw the water, do it again and again, right before Christmas, 2 or 3 days before Christmas Eve. And then he would cook this bacala. And in the recipe, it was, which we will have for you, it was onions in there, garlic, potatoes, quartered potatoes, tomato sauce, the crushed tomatoes like I did today, and the fish. And it was really good. I was a fish eater. I loved fish. It was delicious. So I made it, but I did not buy bacala. I mean, I buy dried, salted cod. I bought frozen cod because I'm not going to go through all of what my dad did. Okay? But he had it readily available. He didn't have to go to a store. It was right there, downstairs from our apartment. That's what it was. So I'm going to show you. Try to chip this a little bit.
Yes.
Kind of what it looks like
when
it's all done. Okay. And there's potatoes, so I'm going to take it out and I'll put a couple of potatoes on there. Oh, also in there, which I did put it in here, olives and capers. And I never liked capers, but I don't know why, because I bought them. They didn't taste bad. They tasted good. So I don't know why I never liked capers. So we got potatoes, a little olives on the top, and a piece of codfish, a little sauce. And here you go. Oh, this is so.
Yeah, there you go. You don't take, there you go. That's it.
Okay. So I'll taste this one too. Now with the codfish from the freezer, it's not always deboned. So you do have to be careful when you eat it to make sure, like when you eat it, that you don't just swallow like quickly, okay? Because not all of them, but I did find a bone the last time I made codfish in this. Just like my dad made. I really can't believe that it tastes just like long ago when I had the thing. I want to tell you something about bacala. As a kid, my father would say, or my mother, one of them, if somebody did something really ridiculous, he would say, "Oh, he's such a bacala." I really never knew at that time why they said he's such a bacala. But I now being older, I figured it out that it's because the person they thought was very foolish or an idiot, I guess, or somebody didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, my mom and I just had this whole conversation before we came back about like slang terminology and how, words have literal meanings and figurative meanings. We have words in the English language that we've borrowed from other cultures, but like, yeah, I mean, like cagoots or, like I'm gonna kick you in your cagoots, no one would always say that to us. Or she'd call her, other than Testa Duda, she'd call her heads, she'd say, we had melon heads. What's
Cagoots.
Oh, that's cagoots. What
Yes.
was it? There was another term. There was another term though. There was another. I don't know. Anyways, she'd say that, those things, but really, I mean, yes, bacala is codfish, but yes, bacala was also stupid people.
Exactly. Just like when it happened in Italy.
Oh yes, that was a funny thing. Like my mom's cousin, we were in the car. I can't remember if my sister and I can't remember if my sister was in the car with me. She'd be able to remember this too, but if she was, I don't think my mom was in the car. We took separate cars because there was many of us, and we were going somewhere, and so my mom's cousin's husband was driving, and this person came out of nowhere, this other car, and didn't stop. And because her husband would beep the horn every time he'd come to an intersection, he'd beep the horn to say, I'm here, I'm coming. But the other person apparently didn't stop, went right through the intersection, and my mom's cousin was like, "Oh, bacala." It was so funny. And I was like, and the funny part is, because I always heard my grandparents saying that word, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, "Oh, that's codfish." Stupid person. But my mom and I also were talking about how I don't remember bacala as a kid. I don't remember this dish as a kid because my grandfather started making like fish stew. Yes. So he'd have the potatoes in it. Basically, he put the same kind of ingredients except the olives and the capers. That was not in the fish stew.
No.
But the potatoes fish was in the fish stew, of course, and the shrimp and mussels. But the seasoning was like I want to say it was like a Old Bay seasoning kind of thing. Maybe not Old Bay, but that kind of like that chowdery, like that Manhattan clam chowder type of, seasoning. Yes. It's kind of spicy because I think there was a lot of pepper in it.
He was a hot pepper, red pepper flake person. Yes.
So, but everything else, we definitely had the sardines. Yep, that was a mainstay. Yes. That was an everyday occurrence at their house. Sardines. Grandpa every day at lunch would have sardines. And they were always had they were packed in oil and salt. The ones he got later on because they were smaller cans. Oh my God!
I'm telling you,
holy mackerel!
Those sardines were his favorite. He loved his sardines. He did.
And I love the smelt. We always had smelts.
Yes.
The fried fish depended upon Noni's, if she felt like frying fish, didn't. But we always had like a variation on the 7 fish dishes. Yeah, there was always some kind of.
Had in our with my growing up, we always had a lot of people.
Yes.
Relatives and friends that would stop over. And the table was always full. And my father would say, "Sit down, sit down, sit down. Come on, eat, eat." And he'd have all this stuff. made all this fish, and people would eat it. So it was just something that we did. It was just automatic. We did. He loved making. He loved making his fish dishes. That was one of his favorites.
Yes.
Fish on Christmas Eve.
I mean, there was in Noni and Grandpa had a EJ home. So it's, if everyone, there's like only a couple styles of EJ homes, like I think 3 or 4 styles that EJ the company made of, there are different styles, but there's their home kitchen, then is a kitchen dining area, and then through like a little portico was the living room. So they would take the gigantic table, it's one gigantic table and another gigantic table, and put them together end to end, and put the tablecloths all across. So you'd be sitting.
Yes.
You couldn't sit, of course, in the portico. You couldn't, because there's no room. But you'd be sitting on either side of the wall. So, and if you had to get anywhere, so
yes.
like if you were next to the window, you were pinned in because Grandpa was at the head of the table. And you were pinned in. So if you had to get anywhere, you had to crawl under the table. Now adults, no. Grandpa would move.
Yes.
But the kids would have to crawl under the table to get to the other side. And it was so funny. So you would just sit wherever. Like there was no assigned seats. You just sit, Good luck finding a seat.
Yes.
But they on that Christmas Eve, it would be fish after fish after fish after fish after fish. Like there's just so much fish.
There was.
Different. I shouldn't say fish. I should say sea type food, because it wasn't just fish. It was like shrimps and squids, but it was just, oh my gosh. And the people that would come over, and holy mackerel, there was just so many people that would come over. You could have 40 or 50 people on that house. It was just so many people. And Noni and Grandpa, they had a front porch that was enclosed. I shouldn't say enclosed. It was partially closed, because they had it was open. When I was a young kid, there were no windows. It was just over it, a roof, and then she had these, not curtains,
blinds.
No, not blinds, the things that roll, the roller shades, but they were big, huge, like bamboo, and she had them to like block the wind. But so it wasn't until later on that everything got enclosed in. She got the glass came in.
Right.
But I remember as a child, if you wanted to escape, you could go sit on the porch. Oh no, my mom froze. Can you hear? Can you hear you though?
You can hear. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There you go.
So, yeah, we are having glitches. It's this, Endicott just got hit by, or shouldn't say Endicott, but Triple Cities just got hit with the Broome County area. 40 inches of snow on Thursday this last week. So we're probably dealing with, the effects.
I do want to say, to mention with these 2 dishes, you could eat it with a nice slice of bread, Italian bread, or you can make a nice pasta, and you know how to make homemade pasta now.
Ooh, there you go.
And you can make the homemade pasta and put this on top of your pasta.
Yeah.
There's many ways to serve this dish.
Exactly.
In your Christmas Eve or dinner party, or however you want to make this food. So we hope you enjoyed the learning about the 2 fishes, bacala and shrimp with sauce.
Yes.
And we're going to have one more video coming up. It'll be a dessert for the Christmas traditions we had in our family. So until then, have a nice day. Arrivederci.
Buon appetito.